Okay, this is for the people who are absent. I'm simply showing you what we did on April 16th. After students completed Part 1, I gave them some time to complete Part 1, and I told them ahead of time, I said, open this up. We did as a class, and we read through some of these philosophies of command versus market. And then I said, when you're completing this one, in order to finish it, you may have to, if you get stuck, you may have to consult this Word file to help you find the correct answer. So after we were finished with that, then I had a little class discussion. I told the students to go to this website. This was maybe the last 10 minutes of class. And students look up the country rankings. One student had asked, just before I set everyone free to go work on this, said, what countries are ranked higher than the United States in a market economy, as a market economy? Which ones are even freer than the United States? And I said, hold that question, we'll answer it when we come back for Part 2. And so, directed students to this website, and we spent maybe the last 10 to 15 minutes of the class looking through country rankings based on economic index of freedom. First thing I showed the class was about the index. I went down here and went to their question that says, how do they measure economic freedom? These 4 key categories, and within each category they've got some subcategories, so it's a total of 12. It says here, each of the 12 economic freedoms within these categories is graded on a scale of 0 to 100. The country's overall score is derived by averaging these 12 economic freedoms. So let's take a look. Rule of law, that means property rights. If a country respects property rights, then they get ranked higher. If the country does not recognize property rights, everything that you work for, any property that you attain is turned over to the government, and then the government redistributes it. In those economies, this would be a really low score, from 1 to 100. And so then government integrity. What does integrity mean? Underneath this category of rule of law, it means like when you picture Lady Justice holding the scales, she has a blindfold on. And the reason is, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender, regardless of your, racial race, regardless of your religion, in the United States and in many countries, they say the ones that are high in this category do not allow any of those categories to influence, whether you're wealthy maybe or whether you're poor. They do not allow those categories to influence how you're treated under the law. But some countries, they do. Certain people don't follow the rule of law. Maybe government officials get away with things that the common person doesn't. And so that would be this category. That would be characterized under the score in this category. And so on. And this one's a combination. This one's also into that same arena. So anyway, so just trying to talk about what we talked about in class, which is just looking at the different, so for example here, regulatory, business freedom. How easy is it to start a company in the country that they're ranking? So do you need government approval in order to start a company or not? And so forth. Free trade. Are you allowed to freely trade your property with other people? Or does the government step in and have a lot of conditions? And so we talked about that. Then we went in here and looked at the country rankings, and I went around the classroom and I asked each student to identify one of two. Either tell me what you found interesting, anything you found interesting on the website, or what surprised you. And the most common surprise students told me was, look at the United States, it's number 20. Most students were shocked at that. They thought the United States would be higher on this index of freedom. So these top 5, quite a few students said, wow, I was surprised that New Zealand was number 2 and Singapore was number 1. They had no idea that those countries were as free economically, where the citizens were free, had lots of freedom. And so, anyway, just looked through this, and a lot of students were like, hey, Canada outranks the United States, Netherlands, Finland. So when you think it's pretty interesting, actually. It's a fun, if you wanted to delve into this and get into it more, you just click on one of these countries and you want to go look at the categories. Then it looks at each category specifically. And they have a lot of research about each category displayed on their website. So it's very interesting to read about. All right, so that was just a follow-up. Just wanted to point that out.